La primera entrevista viene con Nami Melumad. Nami es una compositora israelí que se muda a Hollywood para buscar trabajo. Ella es sumamente joven, tiene unos 30 años y ya tiene más de 150 títulos en su haber. El último, que es porque tuve la conversación con ella, fue por la nueva película de Thor, Love and Thunder, que ella hizo la musicalización. Para mí siempre es curioso conversar con personas que le ponen música a las películas, porque para mí, que no sé cómo se hace y solamente veo el trabajo al final, es fascinante cómo se crea la música a través de un guión o a través de una conversación con un director de cine. Y Nami sabe explicar todo eso a la perfección. Es una conversación yo me la encontré muy interesante. Nami es un personaje que le gusta hablar y yo pienso que eso me hace el trabajo un poquito más fácil. Así que aquí les dejo con mi entrevista con la compositora israelí Nami Melumad. Here with Nami Melumad. She is wonderful. She is a composer. I'm surprised, Nami, that you have 143 credits.
Yeah, me too.
This is impressive.
I don't sleep. And my cat is really happy about it because he gets to have me home all the time and working in my studio. It took a while to convince him he likes the studio. But yeah, it's just I've been working a lot. Like I'm from Israel, and I've been working over there. I'll go to school, and when I moved here and went to school, right after that, I continued to work basically on everything that I could score. Like I wanted to experiment with different styles and different instruments, different ideas. So just, not just orchestral stuff, but also like jazz and a little more like guitars and stuff. I play guitar.
To me, it's curious how a person get involved making music to movies. Because I only love music. But how do you get involved to do music for a movie?
Yeah, well, there's two aspects to this. There's the concept question, which is like, how do you make your music, let's say, less important in the favor of dialogue, in favor of story, because it's not concert and it's not like songwriting where your music is taking the stage. It takes the first place. And so when you're doing a film, you kind of have to take into consideration that like there's all these other arts that come in together to create something more meaningful. So there's the direction, there's the acting, there's the writing, there's cinematography, there's sound, there's editing, like all of these, and there's a million other things like makeup and costume design, like art department, whatnot. And your music is just one more piece in the puzzle. Yeah. So, I mean, I find it really exciting because then I get to collaborate. Like we're all a big team that tries to get something done. But also, I have to understand that like the director or like say the showrunners, they have been working on this piece for 2 years. And then I come in and I can make a lot of changes in how the story is perceived and how a scene is working or not working. And so music has such a big power, and, with great power comes great responsibility in the sense that like, I can. Yeah.
And how in your brain you have to switch from universe to universe to create like an authentic piece of music? Because
right.
Star Trek, it's like legendary also. Like they have their music, they have the intro music, and they have this different, I don't know, like rhythm that Star Wars had. And even like movies like Thor, that in space, they always had their rhythm, because Taika used modern music and something rock and roll. But Star Trek is more classic. It's more like different rhythm, different action. And how your brain switch?
That was a little challenging because I was simultaneously working on Star Trek still, like that was not. I mean, luckily we finished season 1 of Strange New Worlds, but I was still working on the other show, the Star Trek Prodigy. So there is that, like, I mean, it's a you're right, both of them are in space, but I think Star Trek goes into Star Trek leans more into sci-fi, while Thor leans more into superhero fantasy. And you're right, there's this orchestration difference or like pace difference. And And I think a lot of it has to also do with the instrumental choices for Thor and for track. We have like a traditional orchestra situation, like 60 or 50 piece orchestra, some regular percussions, like sometimes some synths and stuff. With Thor, in order to kind of create something cohesive with Taika's vision for the songs, because he used Guns N' Roses all over the place. And I'm like, okay, well, with the score, we have to kind of like, make it match. So the orchestra was huge. We had 96 players, which is like almost double the size of Star Trek. And then you have a choir that brings all this like godly feel, because like they're all gods, we're dealing with like superhumans. They're not humans really. So there was like a 34-piece choir, I think, something like that. And then there's like guitars and bass, electric bass and drums and like all these like elements that are rock material, like, rock band stuff. And then anytime I could, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to put the drums in, I'm going to put the guitars in, just to enforce that feeling of like rock and roll in the score. And I think ultimately that works nicely when combined with the songs. So that's very different from track. Like, we have not done that for track ever. Maybe in the future, I don't know, if Thor comes to visit the universe of track, that'd be cool. Like,
Cool. That could be super cool.
I mean, technically he did. He was George Kirk. He was playing George Kirk in Star Trek 2009, I think.
Really?
I think so. Chris Hemsworth. He was like a Chris Pine's
dad. He was Chris Pine's father on the first movie.
Yeah, so yeah, he was already there, but he did not look like Thor. Forgot his cape cap and everything. But yeah, it's you gotta have that differentiation, because also like the projects are so different in style, like, and each project has its personality. That's kind of part of my challenge as a film composer or a TV composer, is that you want to create a specific personality for the show you're working on. I've had that challenge before. Like, I mean, I did the, like earlier this year, I worked on The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window, the Netflix thing. And then they didn't, it was not an orchestral piece. It was, thriller, dark, comedy, parody, like all these stuff, non-orchestral. So we used synths and percussions, guitars, flutes. Like, it had its color palette that fit that story, So every project you work on has to have its specific color, let's say. All right. To be continued.